The Windows 10 April update is here, build 1803, which brings a lot of really cool features to Windows 10. We're going to jump right in and see what my top 5, with a little bit of a bonus, new features and new upgrades to the Windows 10 April update is. I'm EposVox, here to make tech easier and more fun, and here we are in the latest Windows 10 update, the April update, build 1803, I believe, which has some really cool features added, and I'm gonna walk you through my favorite ones. In fact, my top 5 favorite ones, so to speak. So we're gonna start here with the audio mixer. Now, unfortunately, they don't make this very obvious to reach, because if you just click to change devices, it's about the same, and if you right-click, it almost doesn't look any different, except you go to Windows, or to open sound settings, and it opens a new window that has some really cool features. So here you get to assign your input and output devices as per usual. It does have some real-time feedback here. You can see it's testing my microphone, it sees my microphone levels, it can see when I'm talking, and it has some troubleshoot buttons. It's fine and dandy, not too different than the usual features. The cool feature is down here under other sound options. Like I said, they seem to bury it. App volume and device preferences. I'm gonna click on that one. Ooh, this is a hugely important feature that I will have a dedicated video on to cover more in depth. But essentially, you get to manually assign input and output devices per program. For streamers, for those that just like having multiple inputs and outputs routed, people like that, this is a hugely important feature. So by default, I don't have a whole lot open, so it just has system sounds and OBS, and I can choose there. So if we open up something like Spotify, for example, that is Plex. If we open Spotify, it's playing music. Now it shows up here. The problem is, it doesn't show up until audio is playing. I've just tinkered around a little bit. Audio has to be playing for this to show up. But now I can tell it, instead of playing through my default audio device, maybe I want it only routing through my monitor speakers, or only through my other monitor, or only through this pair of headphones, and so on. And this allows you to manually route it to different places, which for streaming is great, because if you want to set up multiple audio tracks, you can route music just to your monitor if you only want your viewers to hear it and not you, or you can route it just to your headphones so your viewers don't hear it, but you do if you have it route, a mixer setup or something like that. Hugely important for those kinds of systems, and it works out pretty great. I'm actually going to play a video over here on Chrome. Yep, I have a video playing on Chrome, and now I can assign Chrome to go out to any of these different outputs instead of the default, which is really nice. And then if I pause it, it stays there for now, but it will probably go away over time. And while you're in here, you can actually change the volume of individual applications as well, which is pretty handy too. Hugely epic feature that I cannot express how great this is, and I am definitely going to have a dedicated video on this coming soon. My next favorite update is they have added a one-button delete for your personal data that has been collected on your account, on your device. So if you go to settings by hitting start and settings, and then coming over here to privacy, and then go over to diagnostics and feedback, you can now delete your diagnostic data with one button. If you have a Microsoft account, there may be more in your Microsoft account portal, which we can check out in a moment. But as far as directly associated with your device, you can simply click delete, and you put in a request, and it will delete it soon, TM. Obviously, this isn't perfect. Ideally, they wouldn't be collecting it in the first place, but that is a thing. And then it opened up for the Microsoft account over here. You can view and clear your browsing history, your search history, your location activity, your voice activity, your media. Wow, you have a lot of different things that you can delete all at once. Unfortunately, there is not one button delete for the stuff that they have synced with your account, and you can actually download your own history as well. But they do give you control over your data here to a degree, even though they've collected it, after the fact, after they've collected it. But it is still a step forward, and while it's not perfect, I'm glad that they have added this to the operating system. Now back at the settings menu, they have added GPU prioritization, which means nothing for a desktop like mine, but if you are on a laptop, you now have the ability to go in and choose which graphics chip in your computer programs run on, which for laptop users, especially streamers, is super important because then you can say to run everything on your primary GPU, or for example, if you're running lower end games that you don't need a whole lot of performance on, you can tell it to run on the integrated graphics card built into your processor, i.e. the Intel HD graphics or whatever, instead of your NVIDIA graphics, for example, to save a little bit of battery power. That's accessed from Settings, System, Display, and then at the bottom, Graphics Settings. And then you can choose which app you want to set a preference for, whether it is a UWP app or a Win32 app. That's the difference. Classic's Win32, Universal's UWP. We're going to select Universal, and then you can choose a list of installed applications here. So I can say Gears of War 4, add it. Instead of System Default, I can click Options, and I can choose High Performance. And see where it says Power Saving GPU and High Performance GPU. In a laptop, it's going to say Intel HD something or AMD HD, whatever the AMD built-in graphics are on a laptop are. And then for high performance, it's going to be the dedicated graphics chip, usually NVIDIA, although there's more coming out with AMD. Right here, and so you get to choose between the power-saving GPU or the high-performance GPU. Pretty cool. So I'm going to tell that one to always use high performance, and then we can choose a classic app. Click Browse, and then you have to find the exe associated with that app, which is a little more complicated, of course, but that's fine. Programs. Actually, not programs. Program files. Actually, we can come over here. I'm going to choose an actual game again. So I have Steam installed, Steam games installed on this drive. Games, and we're going to choose, we'll just choose Diablo 3. Instead of System Default, maybe I want Diablo 3 to only run on the integrated power-saving GPU. Choose that. Really cool feature, will give a lot of control back to laptop users and those, again, wanting to stream where you can only choose one graphics card to stream with. It will be incredibly useful to manually assign programs over in order to keep your stream compatible with OBS. This is something the graphics control panels used to offer, and then they started removing, so having that built into the operating system can only mean good things for everyone. Microsoft has also tweaked Windows 10's UI and design a bit, which you may have noticed whenever I click the Start button. You now have two new icons here. One is for documents and one is for pictures, just to bring back some of that core functionality previously present in older Start menus that everyone used to love and probably still wishes we had, so that is kind of neat. And there's not a whole lot to Windows 32 changes, but if we open up the Settings menu and pull up something specific, you see this is blurred out. And it actually covers the background, which at first I had something really colorful behind it, and I thought my screen was broken. Whenever I pulled up here, I'm not just going to pull up a random colorful picture here. Whenever I pulled this up and it was like in the corner, I really thought my screen was broken, showing that behind the window, but you can see it. It's not a great example, but it has the colors blurred out behind the UI. But also, if you come on in here, go to Home, System, Display, you now have some settings for the UI. Actually, it's under Settings, my bad. Ease of Access, Display. You can enable or disable the transparency, which is that new transparency I just showed you. Animations, you can hide animations. You can automatically hide scroll bars in Windows UWP apps, which I don't want to do. I want them shown. So now they're there. Easy. You can customize how long notifications are shown for, from 5 seconds up to 5 minutes. Sometimes I miss them, so I'm going to change it to 15 seconds. And then I can close them as needed, or I can turn it back down if I need to. And then you can actually just turn off the background. If for whatever reason you don't want a background showing, you can just turn it off altogether. That's an option to you, and it still saves whatever backgrounds you had going if you turn it back on. I'm actually gonna turn off the hide scroll bar for now, because in setups like that, there's a scroll bar there as well. That is interesting. No, I'm gonna leave it there. It's functional. I like it. So you have some options here. Got option for cursor and pointer size. All right, here's something interesting I'm going to test. So I have a custom, this is cursor thickness while typing. Yes, you can customize that. I'm gonna turn that up to like a 3, maybe a 2. Yeah, 2 will work. You can change your pointer size, but keep in mind this will reset your pointer, so I'm gonna do that now. Resets me back to a default Windows pointer. You guys may prefer this for tutorials, but actually I'm gonna try it out and leave it on default for now. But you have options for the UI here, which is pretty nice. And also, if you go into your settings and go to update security, Windows Defender and all of that nonsense is now just called the Windows Security Center. Just Windows Security, so you know what's going on. Still says Windows Defender Security there, but for the most part, they are deeply integrating Windows Defender into the operating system, which is a good thing because it really does help you stay safe, and people need to actually use it instead of installing McAfee or something weird. My last favorite feature is quiet hours. Quiet hours are super important for someone who records like me, and for someone who just doesn't want to get notifications, is you can now actually set quiet hours so that you don't get notifications or alerts or pop-ups in certain time frames. Now, quiet hours have been around since Windows 8, but they have updated it to give it a little bit more power. It's still not ideal. There are still some features they could add to it, I feel, but they have renamed it to Focus Assist. It's under System Settings and Focus Assist here, but they give you a little bit more customization here. For example, you can set which mode you are in, hide all notifications except for alarms, only show priority, and then you can customize which notifications are priority for you. You can set up customizations as to when quiet hours are, or I could just flip it on. I wish there was a taskbar button so I could just flip it on at will, i.e. when I start a recording. You can set it to turn on quiet hours whenever you're playing a DirectX game, whenever you're duplicating your display, such as for a presentation, and ideally, there would still be options for full screen video, for being able to just disable sites like Facebook or Twitter or something like that or the apps at least, while you are working, while you're in that mode. But you get a little bit more control here, and it is super handy. Not the best feature out of this list, but I wanted to end on something simple, so I didn't ramble forever. As a bonus, they have added what they call the timeline. So actually, if you enable the task view button, it is now a timeline-esque button, which currently will show you the windows you have open per desktop, which is kind of nice. Then if you scroll down, you can view. Earlier today, I had that picture open. That could be problematic for some of you, so you may want to hide that button if you have things open that you don't want it. But if we come over here to turn on timelines, now it will save a history of Windows-specific things that you had open. This is part of Microsoft's new pick up where you left off philosophy, where they want to syndicate across your Microsoft devices, and for programs like Microsoft Office, for Word, it will show previous Word documents you had open. For Edge, it will show previous tabs you had open in Edge, things like that. But as a bonus feature that I like, it's pretty handy, and if they can expand it, or if they can open the API or whatever up for other applications to get involved in, that would be really, really neat. So, yeah, that's it. So that's been my top 5 plus 1 favorite features of the new Windows 10 April update, which of course comes at the literal last day of April. I complained a lot about Windows updates and how broken they can be and things like that, but when they do add a lot of new features, it's really cool to see and generally has me wanting to upgrade. So I was glad I was able to hop on day 1 of this latest update and check it out for you guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more awesome tech videos, and I will see you in the next one.